It is a really, really exciting time to be a Seahawks fan because this is a team that has a new head coach, that has a GM with more control than he's ever had before. And I and many of you are curious to see in which direction they choose to go. The most common choices for them are in the trenches. Anytime I see a national expert talk about where they should draft, it's always the trenches. And you know what? Yeah, that continues today with our pick at number 16 for the Seahawks. We are going with T'Vondre Sweat out of Texas. Now, this one's a little controversial, Bump. A little controversial.
We're all about controversy today, apparently.
All about controversy.
Do.
The Seahawks are hosting him for a pre-draft workout despite a recent arrest for a DWI. Now, again, you and I briefly, when this news happened, talked about, well, if you were a scout with the Seahawks, what would you want to ask Sweat? And I'm sure that we'll cover those questions. But tell us about Sweat the player before we get to some of this other stuff.
Mr. Sweat, 6'4", 366 pounds. Senior year, he had 25 tackles, 28 pressures, 23 QB hurries, some QB hits, a couple sacks. That's who he is when it comes to the stats. Now let's talk about him as a football player. This is a massive human being, 6'4", 366. You can imagine. Is a big, big body. And when you play that zero and that one tech, you have to have a big body. You have to be good against the double teams. The more film I watch on this guy, the more he understands, obviously, being the one tech, you're going to get double teamed. But he also knows how to split them and not get too much penetration in the backfield. Sometimes when you are that one tech, you got the guard blocking down on you. You got the center blocking down on you. You want to split them, and then you get in the backfield. The running back makes a move, then it's all bad. You want to have gap integrity. And at 6'4", 366, he might be able to take up two of them things, two gaps. But let's talk more about him as a football player. His technique is on point. I'm watching him, and let's say he has a slant to the right. The offensive line is also stepping to his right. He knows he has to take care of that A-gap. What he does a good job of doing, if he is on the center's left side, he'll step into that gap, hold the center with his left shoulder and left arm, and keep that right arm free so he's still able to make a tackle. A lot of the time, guys get engaged, you get both hands on the center or on the guard, and now you're done. You can't make the tackle. He understands that, look, I have to use technique. Now, once he makes that step, he gets low because he is 6'3", and a lot of these offensive linemen are a bit bigger than him. He gets low, and he stays there. So he plays with good pad level. Mm-hmm. He understands technique, and he's patient in the backfield. He doesn't just jump in the backfield and try to make a play, though he does have some TFLs. Another thing I see, this kid is relentless, man. When the ball is snapped, he is going. If there's a screen to the right, he's running all the way to the right. If there's a screen to the right and it's a throwback to the left, he's going to the right, he's going to the left. He is running to the football. 11 hats to the ball. That's what coaches always want to see. When you watch him play, he understands what he's looking at as well. And when I say understands what he's looking at, that means that he knows if the line is flowing to the right, they're running a zone right, bam, I can put my hands on that guard on that center, help him flow to the right, nice little swim move, and I'm still in my gap. He's not panicking. He understands if I see a guard pull or a tackle pull, what they're trying to accomplish, and he adjusts his hands and his feet accordingly. He has good balance. He's very relentless, and he can go. Again, he's a guy at a position to where you're not going to be able to watch the film or watch your regular game and really understand his impact unless you zone in on him. Most people just watch the football. He's exactly what you want when it comes to interior alignment. You got to be okay with the double teams. He can do that. You have to be smart with your leverage in your hands. He can do that too. Has a great swim move, but will power you and run through you as well. You also have to understand that you can get in the backfield, but if you're just flying in the backfield, you're getting 3, 4, 5 yards deep, the running back's going to make a move on you, and you're done. Looks like a well-coached kid. Looks like a guy who understands his role and takes a lot of pride in it.
Okay, before we get to weaknesses and before we get to some character questions in some of the red, orange, yellow flags to come up with T'Vondre, let's continue to talk about those strengths and talk about him as a fit for the Seattle Seahawks. If you're John Schneider, if you're Mike McDonald, you're looking at your defense and where you need help. And one of the things that you and I have always heard is you need violence and you need dudes. Like, I remember, Bump, that when they transitioned from a 4-3 to a 3-4, one of the things that I always heard was they just don't have the guys to be able to have the defense that they want. Is this a guy that solves one of those problems for you?
Yeah, he is. Again, he's a guy who it's just going to take up space. Honestly, if you are looking at a 1 tech, 0-3 tech, It's either they control one gap, you two gap them, but they're taking up space. They're occupying bodies, and they're okay with that. They understand if I can occupy two offensive linemen, my linebackers are going to eat. When I have my opportunity, I can get in the backfield and I can make plays. A interior lineman, defensive lineman, it works in any offense or defense. I don't care what you're running, 3-4, 4-3, 33 stack. It don't matter. You need hogs in the middle to two gap if you ask them to, or to take on these double teams and let the guys behind them eat.
Is there anyone on this team that they have now that could do the job that he does? Or is this a guy where if you pass on him, and again, I don't know that he'll go at 16, but let's say you trade back and you don't take this guy, are you really missing out on an opportunity to get that player?
I mean, I think you have guys on this roster already that are capable of doing it, right? I mean, you don't. The one position where there was absolutely nobody was a linebacker spot, and then they took care of that fairly quickly. But I think Jay Reed can do it. He's shown that he can do it. He's put together some great years. Obviously, we talk about Leonard Williams. He can do that as well. Behind them, we're still waiting to see what Cameron Young looks like. Was drafted last year. Didn't get too many snaps, so there's some depth there. I think with Jay Reed and Leonard Williams, you're good to go. I think that now it's about depth, and Cam Young will provide that out of Mississippi State, I believe, last year. And then you're looking for a young man like Sweat to do it as well. Now, chances are they probably don't get Sweat, but we're just talking about possibilities at number 16.
Well, and again, we're also exploring the possibility of like their first picks. So Sweat isn't projected to go at 16. We're looking at him as who's the Seahawks first pick. Maybe they trade back.
Yeah, exactly. And this is profile stuff just for your education.
Yeah.
But I can see him playing that spot. It's not like they're looking at, because last year coming into the season, I'm looking at the interior and I'm going, you need a guy to play right now. So they draft Cam Young, and I'm excited about it. But then Jay Reed comes back, and you find Leonard Williams, and I think that's the perfect scenario for Cam Young because now he can develop even more. Didn't get a lot of snaps last year. You're good. Same thing in this position. If Sweat were to come in, you don't need him right now. He's going to be in the rotation, but it's not like if he does not perform at an extremely high level, you have no other options.
All right, let's talk about some of those red flags and weaknesses. This is from the Athletics Draft Guide. A lot of it is about work ethic and personality. And in a way, that's a good thing because if you can figure that out, if you can become more professional and take on more self-discipline, then you have all of the tools athletically to be able to succeed. The problem is, as you guys know, as I know, as you know, Bump, not every player does that. So the Athletic says, look, he needs to keep his weight under control. They have some like mechanics type things, like he tends to get off leads too early. Pass rush skills are a work in progress. He needs move-to-move transitions, but their big red flag is maturity. They said he showed improved maturity during this past season with Texas, and Texas really needed that because they were becoming a college playoff team. But he was labeled a party animal and class clown by NFL scouts who questioned his commitment to becoming the best player he could be.
That's why you ask questions all across campus. What is my guy like? Is he going out on a Thursday night? What's he doing? Is he trying to sneak out? Oh, my God. You want to hear a silly story?
Yes, I do.
My goodness gracious. So when at home games and at Washington State, we still stayed in town, but we went up to, I think it was called like the Hilltop Hotel. And the night before the game. And we have our travel suits that we wear on game days when we travel or even when we're at home. Tell me why. I'm a freshman. 3 of my other freshmen snuck out the hotels and went to party in their warm-up gear, like their travel suit. I go, what are you doing? You're already 6'4", 300 pounds.
No.
They know you should be in the hotel, but yo, dumb,
Did they
you
think
know
that
what?
it would help them get girls if they were like,
what they
look.
thought. They weren't thinking at all. That's the problem. Anyway, yeah, so... Yeah,
it's like walking around, mask
that.
off, no gloves, committing a crime, just like waving at the cameras.
So
hey,
stupid. So stupid.
I'm going to commit a crime, but I'm going to use my debit card and ID to do it.
But back to Sweat. This is why you ask all the questions. You talk to as many people as possible. I've seen guys who are party animals that go to the league and play for 10 years and be fine. I'm not saying that that's something that you want to see in a guy that you're going to possibly invest millions of dollars in. You want to make sure that they have their priorities straight. But at what extent do you allow him to be a college student too? It's not like he's a quarterback. My quarterback, Alex Brink, he would hang out, but not like the way we were kicking it. He was like, I have a bit more responsibility than y'all. Have a couple drinks, boom, I'm going back to the house. So there's a fine line of you are a college student or you are just raging every single weekend. Obviously, this seems to be an issue with him because he just got a DWI. So I think he might have hurt his draft stock a little bit, but he's going to get drafted.